The great hall of the Selnar Empire stretched for miles, its ceiling lost in darkness above. Commander Zrel walked with measured steps toward the gleaming throne. His black uniform absorbed the light around him, making him seem like a moving shadow. The weight of 17 conquered star systems hung in the air. Emperor Vaskar waited, his six-fingered hand tapping impatiently on the arm of his throne. His skin shimmered with the metallic blue tint of his species. "You summon me, your greatness." Zrel bowed his head, just enough to show respect without showing weakness. "Our scouts have found a new world," said the Emperor. His voice was low but filled the hall. "A planet called Earth. It holds a civilization ready for our rule." Zrel nodded. This was nothing new. For 3,000 years, the Shadow Guild had paved the way for imperial conquest. As its commander, Zrel had personally overseen the fall of 7 worlds. "Begin the standard protocol," ordered Vaskar. "Send your 5 best assassins. Remove their leaders. Create chaos." A junior officer approached with a data tablet. She kept her eyes down as she handed it to Zrel. Her name was Mira, newly assigned to the guild after showing remarkable talent for silent killing. "Sir," she whispered, "the reports on humans show unusual traits. They might not respond like other species." Zrel scanned the information. Humans were physically weaker than many conquered races, but something about their brain patterns seemed strange, different. "Is there a problem, Commander?" The Emperor's voice hardened. "No, Your Greatness. The Shadow Guild will not fail you." Zrel bowed again and turned to leave, Mira following 3 steps behind. On Earth, John Miller stood in his backyard in Montana, looking at the stars. The night was clear and cold. His daughter Lily stood beside him, her small hand in his. "Dad, what's that?" Lily pointed at a brief flash in the sky. John adjusted his old telescope. "Probably just a meteor, honey." But something felt wrong. In his 20 years as a Marine, John had developed good instincts. The light moved in a way no natural object would. "Let's go inside," he said, trying to keep his voice normal. "It's getting cold." In the White House, a security guard named Frank Wilson walked his regular patrol. The night shift was quiet as always. He checked doors, peered down empty hallways, and fought off sleep. He didn't notice the air shimmer slightly near the Oval Office. He didn't see the tall figure that appeared for just a second before its cloaking technology stabilized. Senior assassin Kravith had reached his target location. Now he would wait for the human leader to arrive in the morning. One clean kill, as he had performed countless times before. Then the planet would begin its fall into chaos, making it ready for imperial control. Kravith settled into perfect stillness, a skill he had mastered over his 300-year life. But something felt wrong. His skin tingled. The biorhythm enhancer implanted in his chest, the device that kept his vital signs perfectly regulated during missions, was sending warning signals. He ran a system check. All equipment showed normal function, yet he felt increasingly uncomfortable. It was as if the air itself rejected his presence. Across the world, in Beijing, Moscow, London, and New Delhi, other members of the Shadow Guild were experiencing the same problem. Their technology, perfect for thousands of years, was failing near humans. Niksara, hidden in the Kremlin, felt her neural disruptor growing hot in her hand. When she tried to aim it at a passing guard, pain shot up her arm. The weapon was backfiring, something that had never happened before. In a secure lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Eleanor Wright stared at her computer screen. The energy readings made no sense. "Paul, look at this," she called to her colleague. Paul Johnson leaned over her shoulder. His eyes widened. "These signatures are appearing in every major city simultaneously. What could cause that?" "Nothing on Earth," Eleanor replied quietly. "Nothing we know, anyway." The first act of invasion had begun. But for the first time in the history of the Selnar Empire, things weren't going according to plan. Kravith fought against the rising pain in his chest, Something about the human building was affecting his systems. He had never failed a mission in his 200 years as an assassin, but now he struggled just to maintain his cloaking. When the sun rose and staff began entering the White House, his discomfort grew worse. Each human that passed caused his vision to blur. His breathing became labored. Impossible, he whispered to himself. The Shadow Guild's technology was perfect, tested on 1,000 worlds. The president's security detail entered the hallway. Kravith prepared his neural disruptor, a weapon that could stop a target's heart without leaving a trace. As he raised it toward the approaching group, the device grew hot in his hand. Then it exploded. The blast threw him against the wall, dropping his cloak. For a brief moment, the security team stared in shock at the tall, blue-skinned creature that had appeared from nowhere. Then training kicked in. Alarms blared as guards pulled weapons. Kravith fled through a window, his mission a failure for the first time in his life. Across the globe, other assassins faced similar disasters. In Beijing, Nixera barely escaped when her cloaking device failed during a critical moment. In Moscow, another guild member collapsed from what felt like radiation poisoning whenever humans approached. The Shadow Guild mothership hung in orbit behind Earth's moon, hidden from human detection. Inside, the surviving assassins gathered to report their failures. Commander Zrell's face remained emotionless, but his inner tail twitched with rage and confusion. "This is unprecedented," he said after hearing the reports. "How can all our technology fail against such a primitive species?" Senior assassin Vila stepped forward. She was the oldest among them, her skin bearing the ritual scars of over 1,000 successful missions. "It's not the technology failing," she said. "It's the humans. Something about them disrupts our systems. Their neural patterns create energy fields our equipment cannot handle." Zrell frowned. "You sound afraid, Vila." "Not afraid. Cautious. In all my years, I have never encountered a species naturally immune to our methods." Mira, the young officer, brought forward data collected during the failed missions. The effect is strongest around younger humans and increases when they experience strong emotions. Zrell's communicator chimed. The Emperor was demanding answers. On Earth, governments worldwide scrambled to make sense of the brief sightings of strange beings. Security footage from the White House incident spread despite efforts to contain it. In her underground lab, Dr. Eleanor Wright watched the grainy video with growing excitement and fear. "It's real," she whispered. "Actual contact." Hall Johnson typed frantically at another computer. "These energy readings match exactly with the moments of sightings. Whatever these creatures are, they emit a specific frequency when their technology activates." Eleanor nodded. "And something about that technology doesn't work right around us." The lab door burst open. A group of military officers entered, led by a stern-faced general. "Dr. Wright, Mr. Johnson, you're being relocated. National security. Bring your research." In Montana, John Miller watched the news with growing concern. The government claimed the White House incident was a failed terrorist attack using new technology, but John recognized a cover-up when he saw one. His phone rang. It was an old military buddy now working in intelligence. "John, remember our talk about strange lights? Things are happening. Watch your back." After hanging up, John looked at Lily playing in the yard. The strange feeling he'd had while stargazing with her returned stronger than ever. On the mothership, Commander Zrell prepared to report to Emperor Vaskar. The news was not good. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Shadow Guild had failed its primary mission. "What will you tell him?" Mira asked. Zrell's expression darkened. "That we need a new approach. The humans cannot be taken down using our standard methods. And if he insists." Zrell did not answer. In the Empire's long history, failure had only one punishment. Emperor Vaskar's hologram towered over Commander Zrell, radiating anger even across the vast distance between them. "Failure is not acceptable." The Emperor's voice boomed. "The Shadow Guild has never failed before. Your excuses are worthless." Zrel kept his head bowed. It is not an excuse, Your Greatness. Something about human biology creates a field that disrupts our technology. We need time to develop new methods. Time. The Emperor laughed coldly. The Empire does not wait. Send more assassins. Try different weapons. Poison their water. Burn their cities from orbit if you must. I want this planet ready for conquest within one standard cycle. The hologram vanished. Zrel stood in silence, considering his orders. Behind him, the door opened as Vila entered the chamber. You heard? Zrel asked without turning. Yes, Vila replied, and I refuse the order. Zrel spun around, shocked. In 3,000 years of the Guild's existence, no assassin had ever refused a mission. You what? I refuse to hunt humans. Vila's voice was calm but firm. And I am not alone. Half the Guild stands with me. Mira entered behind her, along with 20 other assassins of various ranks. Their presence in the command chamber was itself an act of rebellion. This is treason, Zrel whispered. No, Vila said. This is survival. The humans aren't just incompatible with our technology. They're dangerous. Every world the Empire has conquered had weaknesses we could exploit. These humans are different. The Empire must avoid conflict with them at all costs. On Earth, world leaders gathered in an emergency United Nations session. The room buzzed with tension as security footage from the White House, Kremlin, and Beijing incidents played on large screens. These are not isolated events, said the Secretary General. We are facing a coordinated extraterrestrial presence. Dr. Eleanor Wright stepped to the podium. After being relocated to a secure facility, she had been working non-stop analyzing data from the incidents. These beings use advanced technology that somehow malfunctions in human presence, she explained. Our research shows that human brain waves create an energy pattern that interferes with their systems. We don't fully understand why, but it appears to be strongest in children and young adults. Paul Johnson added, We've detected their ship hiding behind the moon. They're watching us, but something is holding them back. In Montana, John Miller loaded supplies into his truck. After his friend's warning call, he had decided to move Lily to their remote cabin deeper in the mountains. As he worked, Lily tugged on his sleeve. Dad, there's someone watching us. John turned slowly, one hand reaching for the gun at his hip. At the edge of their property stood a figure too tall and thin to be human. Its skin had a bluish tint. Oddly, John felt no fear. Can I help you? He called out. The figure approached cautiously. My name is Drav, it said in perfect English. I come with a warning. My people plan to invade your world. On the mothership, chaos erupted. Commander Zrel had ordered Vila's execution for her refusal, a traditional punishment for treason in the Guild. But something unexpected happened. As Vila fell, a dozen assassins turned on Zrel. Others fought to protect him. The Guild was tearing itself apart. Mira helped a wounded rebel assassin toward the escape pods. We must warn the humans, she said urgently. The Emperor will send the full fleet now. Across the ship, assassins chose sides. Some remained loyal to the Empire that had employed them for millennia. Others, mostly those who had experienced the strange effect of human proximity, joined the rebellion. By day's end, the Shadow Guild had split in two. Half fled in small ships, taking their knowledge and technology with them. Some, like Drav, headed directly to Earth. Others scattered across the galaxy, determined to stay clear of both humans and Imperial forces. Commander Zrel, bloody but alive, sent a message to Emperor Vaskar. Not only had the Guild failed its mission, it had broken apart completely. The Empire's most effective tool of conquest was gone. Emperor Vaskar smashed his fist into the viewing screen, shattering it. His advisors cowered as his rage filled the Imperial chamber. Half the Guild gone. Impossible, he roared. 3,000 years of perfect service, and they choose now to rebel. His chief military advisor, General Krill, stepped forward cautiously. The reports are confirmed, Your Greatness. Commander Zrel has executed those traitors he could capture, but many escaped with our technology. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Where did they go? Some fled to the outer systems, General Krill replied, but many headed directly to Earth. Vaskar stood silent for a moment, then made his decision. Prepare the Imperial fleet. We will handle this primitive world ourselves. In Geneva, world leaders gathered in a heavily guarded underground facility. Security forces created a perimeter 5 miles wide around the site. At the center of attention was an alien creature who called himself Drav. The Emperor will not accept our defection, Drav explained to the assembled humans. He will send his fleet to conquer your world and punish us. Grace Martinez, a diplomat known for her unconventional approach to negotiations, had been chosen to lead the talks with the aliens. Unlike many, she showed no fear in Drav's presence. Why should we trust you? She asked directly. You were assassins, sent to kill our leaders. Drav nodded. Yes, that was our purpose for thousands of years. But something about your species changed everything. Your neural patterns disrupt our technology. More importantly, they disrupted our loyalty. He placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of the Selnar Empire's star systems. We offer this knowledge freely, Drav continued. The Empire's strengths, weaknesses, technology, everything we know. In exchange, we ask for asylum. Grace studied the alien carefully. And what do you get from this arrangement? Survival. Drav answered simply. The Empire will fall if it fights humanity. We have seen enough death. In Montana, John Miller drove his truck through the gates of a military base that officially didn't exist. Beside him sat Lily, unusually quiet. In the back seat was Mira, the young alien officer who had appeared at their cabin shortly after Drav. Armed soldiers surrounded the vehicle as it stopped. A stern officer approached. Mr. Miller, I'm Colonel Alan Young. Your friend spoke highly of you. He looked at Mira with caution. I see you brought a guest. John nodded. She came to warn us, just like the others. Colonel Young led them to an underground facility where dozens of scientists worked around strange equipment. Your daughter has been requested for testing, Mr. Miller. Something about her brain waves being particularly disruptive to alien technology. John placed a protective hand on Lily's shoulder. She doesn't leave my sight. On the mothership, Commander Zrel watched as Imperial engineers tried to repair damage from the fighting. Nearly half his assassins were gone, either defected or dead. Worse, they had taken crucial intelligence with them. Commander, a junior officer reported, we've detected signals from Earth. The humans are communicating with the traitors. Zrel's face darkened. Show me. The screen displayed images from around the world. Defector ships landing under human protection. Meetings between aliens and Earth leaders. Technology being shared. The Emperor will not be pleased, Zrel muttered. His communicator chimed with an incoming transmission. The Imperial fleet had launched. 17,000 warships were heading toward Earth. Estimated arrival. 3 standard cycles, approximately 3 Earth months. Zrel sent the message to his remaining loyal assassins. Prepare for full-scale war. In the Geneva facility, Drav received the news with grim acceptance. The fleet has launched, he told Grace Martinez. We have 3 months to prepare your world for an attack unlike anything humans have ever faced. Grace nodded calmly. Then we better get started. She led him to a room where military leaders from a dozen nations waited. On screens around the world, similar meetings were happening with other defector assassins. The clock was ticking. Humanity had 90 days to prepare for an empire that had never known defeat. 60 days before the Imperial fleet's arrival, Earth was transformed. The old borders between nations blurred as humanity united against a common threat. In every major city, strange new structures rose. Towers built with alien technology, designed to amplify human neural patterns. Dr. Eleanor Wright worked alongside defector technicians, studying the mysterious connection between human brainwaves and alien technology. Her lab had expanded from a small underground room to an entire complex beneath the Rocky Mountains. "It's the frequency," she explained to military observers. "Human brains operate on wavelengths that naturally disrupt cellular systems. We don't know why we evolved this way, but it's saving our lives now." Paul Johnson entered the lab, excitement clear on his face. The tests with Sam Porter were successful. His neural pattern disrupted the alien ship systems from half a mile away. Eleanor nodded. "But we need more range. Much more." In a training facility in Arizona, John Miller moved through combat exercises with a group of fellow soldiers. His instructor was Drav, who showed them how to exploit weaknesses in Imperial armor. "Strike here," Drav demonstrated on a holographic soldier. "Their life support systems are vulnerable at this junction." John performed the move perfectly. Since agreeing to join the Special Forces unit, he had thrown himself into training. His motivation was simple: to protect Lily and Earth. Every evening, he visited his daughter in the research wing. The scientists had discovered that Lily, like many children, produced neural patterns twice as disruptive to alien technology as adult humans. "How are you feeling, kiddo?" John asked, sitting beside her bed. Lily smiled. "They let me play games that help make the machines work better. It's like my brain is a superhero." John hugged her tightly. "You are a superhero." In orbit around Mars, human engineers worked alongside defector aliens to convert Earth's primitive space stations into defensive platforms. The technology provided by the defectors advanced human capabilities by decades within weeks. Admiral Kate Daniels, formerly of the U.S. Navy, now commanded Earth's unified Space Force. She studied the holographic display of the approaching Imperial fleet with concern. 17,000 ships against our few hundred, she murmured to her alien advisor, a former guild assassin named Telk. "Quality over quantity," Telk replied. "Each of your ships now carries neural disruptors that can disable Imperial vessels. And remember, the Emperor has never faced an enemy with our insider knowledge." Grace Martinez met with Drav daily to refine Earth's diplomatic strategy. Today, they discussed the possibility of surrender. "The Emperor will demand it immediately," Drav explained. "It is standard procedure." Grace shook her head. "We won't give in. Not when we have a chance to fight." "Good," Drav said with an expression that might have been a smile. "Because the Emperor would accept nothing less than total submission, and then destroy your civilization anyway." At the secret Montana facility, Dr. Wright made a breakthrough. She called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. "We've developed a way to broadcast human neural patterns globally," she announced. "The network of towers we've built can project a field that will progressively disable Imperial systems as they approach Earth." "What's the catch?" Grace Martinez asked, recognizing the scientist's reserved tone. "We need a source pattern powerful enough to fuel the network. Our tests show only one candidate has the necessary strength." Dr. Wright looked uncomfortable. "Lily Miller." A heavy silence fell over the room. "Will it hurt her?" John asked from the back. "No," Dr. Wright assured him. "But she would need to be connected to the main broadcast station during the attack." John closed his eyes briefly. "Ask her. It's her choice." When they explained it to Lily in simple terms, her answer came without hesitation. "I want to help save everyone." With 30 days left until the Imperial fleet's arrival, Earth's defenders worked frantically to complete their preparations. The fate of humanity would depend on their efforts, and on one small girl whose mind could disrupt an empire. The Imperial fleet appeared first as tiny lights in the night sky. By morning, they filled the heavens, thousands of massive warships blocking the sun in some areas, casting strange shadows across the land. People everywhere looked up in fear and wonder. In the Global Command Center beneath Geneva, Grace Martinez watched the live feeds from space telescopes. "They're here," she said simply. Admiral Kate Daniels' voice came through the communication system from her command ship in orbit. "All defensive systems are active. Earth's Space Force is in position." Dr. Eleanor Wright stood by the main control panel of the neural broadcast network, towers at 98% capacity, waiting for your order to activate. The screens showed Imperial ships forming attack formations. Suddenly, smaller vessels began to launch from the larger ships, thousands of them, heading toward Earth. They're starting with fighter squadrons, Drav explained. Standard conquest protocol. Admiral Daniel's voice remained calm. Engaging fighters now. On screens around the command center, Earth's space forces moved to intercept. Their ships were fewer but equipped with technology the Empire had never faced, weapons enhanced with human neural patterns. When the first Imperial fighters came within range, many suddenly veered off course. Others simply stopped functioning. But there were too many. For every fighter disabled, 20 more took its place. Launch the neural disruptor satellites, Admiral Daniels ordered. Hundreds of small satellites activated around Earth's orbit, each broadcasting a targeted neural pattern. More Imperial ships began to malfunction, but the largest warships pushed through, their shields stronger than expected. They've adapted quicker than we anticipated, Thrav warned. The Emperor must have developed countermeasures. From the command ship of the Imperial fleet, Emperor Vaskar watched with growing rage as his first wave faced unexpected resistance. How can these primitives have such advanced defenses? He demanded. Commander Zrel stood at attention, his face carefully neutral. The traitors, your greatness. They shared our technology. Then we will not be subtle. The Emperor's voice hardened. Begin planetary bombardment. Target their largest cities first. On Earth, the first impacts came with little warning. Massive energy beams cut through the atmosphere, striking major cities. Despite the defensive shields hastily constructed around population centers, the destruction was devastating. In the command center, reports of casualties poured in from around the world. We need to activate the main broadcast network now, Grace urged. Dr. Wright shook her head. It's not fully charged. If we activate too early, it won't have enough power to affect the larger ships. We're running out of time, Paul Johnson said, pointing to the screens showing fresh waves of Imperial fighters breaking through Earth's defenses. In Montana, John Miller stood guard at the main broadcast tower, the hub of the neural network. Inside, Lily sat calmly in a specially designed chair surrounded by alien technology modified by Dr. Wright's team. How are you doing, kiddo? John asked through the communication system. I'm okay, Dad, Lily replied, just a little scared. Me too, but you're doing great. A technician approached John. We just got word. The Emperor's flagship is approaching Earth directly. It's heading this way. They must have figured out what we're trying to do. John checked his weapon. How long until they're in range? 20 minutes, maybe less. John looked at the sky through the reinforced windows. Already he could see flashes of light as battles raged in orbit. Soon, the fight would come to them. His communication device buzzed. It was Grace Martinez. John, we're activating the network early. There's no other choice. The bombardment is too heavy. He looked at the monitor showing Lily. She's ready. As John watched, the machinery around his daughter hummed to life. Lily closed her eyes in concentration. The fate of Earth now rested on a father's courage and a child's mind. The Montana sky filled with Imperial fighters as they descended toward the broadcast tower. Inside the facility, John Miller and a mixed team of human soldiers and defector aliens prepared for the final battle. They're coming in fast, said a young soldier, her hand steady on her weapon despite the fear in her eyes. John nodded. Remember your training. Their armor is weakest at the joints. Through the windows, they watched as the first line of Imperial ships suddenly faltered. Several crashed into the mountains as their navigation systems failed. The neural broadcast network was working, but not strongly enough to stop them all. Lily, John spoke into his communicator. How are you holding up? Inside the central chamber, Lily sat with her eyes closed in concentration. I'm okay, Dad. I can feel it working. Dr. Wright monitored the equipment surrounding the girl. Her neural pattern is amplifying perfectly, but we need more power to reach the flagship. In orbit, Admiral Daniels watched as the Emperor's massive flagship pushed through Earth's defenses, heading directly for Montana. Despite the losses around it, the ship's advanced shielding held against the neural disruption. All remaining forces, focus on the flagship, she ordered. We need to weaken its shields. Earth ships converged on the enormous vessel, firing weapons enhanced with human brainwave technology. The flagship's shields flickered but remained intact as it entered the atmosphere. In the command center, Grace Martinez received urgent news from around the world. The neural broadcast network was having an unexpected effect, not just on the Imperial ships attacking Earth, but across the galaxy. Reports coming in from the defectors' contacts, she told the assembled leaders. Rebellions are breaking out on 7 Imperial worlds. The neural broadcast is being received through the Empire's own communication network. Drav's eyes widened. The disruptive effect is spreading through their systems. The entire Empire is vulnerable. Emperor Vaskar watched in disbelief as warning lights flashed across his flagship's control room. Systems were failing throughout his fleet, and now reports arrived of uprisings across his empire. "This is impossible," he whispered. Commander Zrel stood silently beside his emperor, watching the defeat unfold. 3,000 years of conquest was ending because of one primitive planet they had underestimated. "Take us down," Vaskar ordered. "I will destroy the source of this disruption myself." John Miller felt the ground shake as the Emperor's flagship broke through the clouds above the Montana facility. It was enormous, darkening the sky like an artificial eclipse. "All defense units, prepare for ground assault," he ordered. The tower's shields were holding, but they wouldn't last against a direct attack from the flagship. Everything depended on Lily now. Inside the central chamber, Dr. Wright made a final adjustment to the equipment. "Lily," she said gently, "we need to increase the broadcast to maximum power. It might feel strange, but it won't hurt you." Lily nodded bravely. "I'm ready." Dr. Wright activated the final sequence. The room filled with a soft blue light as Lily's neural pattern was amplified to its full potential and broadcast through the global network. On the flagship, Emperor Vaskar staggered as the systems around him failed completely. The mighty ship began to fall, its engines dead, its shields collapsed. "What is happening?" he demanded. But no one answered. His crew lay unconscious, overwhelmed by the neural disruption that now filled the ship. In his final moments of consciousness, Vaskar sent one last message to his empire: "I will never surrender." Then the flagship plunged toward Earth, breaking apart as it entered the lower atmosphere, burning up in a spectacular display visible across the continent. 1 year later, representatives from 30 former Imperial worlds gathered in the new Global Unity building in Geneva. Grace Martinez, now head of Earth's Interstellar Diplomatic Corps, welcomed them. Beside her stood Drav and other former guild members, now guardians of the peace. John and Lily Miller sat in places of honor as the new Galactic Charter was signed. "We create this galactic cooperative," Grace announced, "founded on respect for all species and the right of self-determination." As the delegates applauded, Lily leaned against her father's shoulder. "Are we safe now?" she asked quietly. John smiled. "Yes, kiddo. Thanks to you and everyone who stood together." Across the formerly mighty Xelmar Empire, freedom had replaced tyranny. The assassination guild that had once spread fear now helped maintain peace, and humanity, once targeted for conquest, now led the way toward a new galactic future, all because alien assassins refused to hunt humans.